Welcome to our channel, where we delve into the fascinating world of near-death experiences. Join us as we share gripping stories of individuals who have ventured to the other side and returned with extraordinary tales to tell. Get ready to be captivated by these awe-inspiring accounts of life beyond our earthly realm. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the enlightening journey ahead. I had my own near-death experience back in 2015, in which I was shown many things that I believe will occur in the future. At first, I had no idea what I was being shown, but these last few years, I have finally been able to connect the dots and see the true image appear. I wish I could give specific dates each of these things will occur, but I was not given that information. As I said, at first, I had no idea what it was I was even seeing. My near-death experience happened when I was only 18 years old. I had gone to a party with my boyfriend, Mike. It was an end of the summer party, one last get-together for us before we each embarked into the world of college for some and the workforce for others. At this party, Mike got quite drunk, even though he knew I hated him drinking. When it was time to leave, I refused to get back in the car with him. The friend hosting the party offered to let me sleep over, but I knew my parents would freak out if I didn't come home. I still lived there and knew their rules, so I began asking around for another ride. One of my friends came to the rescue when she said I could ride with her and her boyfriend if I didn't mind sitting in the bed of his truck. I didn't care, they were sober, so I had no worries that I would arrive home safely, which is a great deal more than I could say had I ridden with Mike. On the way home, her boyfriend Jim stopped at a 24-hour convenience store to get himself some of that gas station pizza. We then left there and started towards my house, which was another 10 miles down a 2-lane highway that was dimly lit. We didn't get far. Jim rounded a corner to see headlights in our lane. I don't remember much after that, other than finding myself laying off to the side of the road in a lot of pain. The collision had thrown me out of the truck bed, and that probably saved my life. I blacked out for a bit, and when I awoke, I could see emergency vehicle lights and police working the scene. I began to cry for help, and a cop rushed over to me. He began to scream to someone else that he had another victim and that he needed paramedics. I was so thankful that he was there. I would not let him leave my side until they loaded me into the ambulance. At the hospital, the doctors told me I was heading into surgery. I was then given something in my IV drip that knocked me out. This was my first surgery ever, but I have to say that once I went unconscious, I felt nothing. The pain I had been in moments before vanished. I no longer even knew I existed. That was until I heard a loud pop and was suddenly looking down on my body as the surgeon was screaming that my pulse was dropping and to get a crash card. For some reason, this didn't scare me, it almost felt like I was watching it happen to someone else. I no longer felt like that body was me. How could it be? I was right here above it. I decided to look around more and floated down the hallways, exploring the hospital. I found I was able to float through walls as well when I accidentally entered a storage room full of sheets and those hospital blankets. Next, I went to the emergency room lobby, where I saw my mother crying as my father tried to reassure her that everything was going to be fine. Looking back, I think I should have felt some empathy towards what my mother was going through. However, at the time, I remember thinking, she will be okay in time. Deciding to check on my body again, I floated my way back to the operating room where the surgeon was actively trying to resuscitate me. I then noticed the tunnel appear above the table, and curiosity took over. I had to see what was inside. So I went in. The inside of the tunnel was dark, but I was not afraid. I would say I floated down the tunnel, however, this would be untrue. I did not float, it floated me. The tunnel began to pull me down, and the speed increased until I was going faster than I had ever gone in my life. Mike would love this, I thought. Up ahead, I saw a pinpoint of light appear in the distance and wondered what it was. The closer I got to this light, the more it grew in size until it was almost all I could see. It filled all, except for the very edges of the tunnel. Arriving at the light was an experience all by itself. Not knowing what to expect, I had no preconceived notions about how I should feel. On Earth, I had been only 18 and had never heard of anyone going to the light before. Nevertheless, I found myself at this light, and there are absolutely no words to accurately describe it, but I will try. It is brighter than our own sun but does not hurt your eyes to look straight at it. It radiates a love that is 1,000,000 times greater than any you could possibly imagine. And when I first arrived, it felt as if I connected to the light, where I was greeted, almost like an "I come in peace" message. The light made sure I was at ease. After this, the light informed me. I say informed because it did not speak, yet somehow I knew its intentions, that I was to have my life review before proceeding. The life review, there is so much to say about it, and it is an intense experience unto itself. I was shown my life on Earth in completion, from beginning to end. I watched my birth and my death and everything in between. I felt every bad or good feeling I had ever given anyone from their point of view, while at the same time experiencing it again from my own point of view. I discovered that many times in my life when I thought I was in the right, I had been in the wrong, and things I had said or done due to my own short-sightedness had caused emotional pain to the other person. I felt their pain. The life review was not all bad, though. The times I had brought someone joy were also shown, and I felt that as well. It was like having your emotions thrust onto a bipolar roller coaster and being told to buckle up. You have no idea when it will begin or end, and you have no clue what twists, turns, loops, and drops await you. When my life review ended, I thought the next step would be judgment. I had no idea whether this meant heaven or hell for me, but I anticipated either. Suddenly, I found my head flooded with images, horrible images that I could not make stop and had no idea what they were. I don't know how long this lasted, but when it ended, I said, almost to myself instead of to anyone in particular, "What was that?" Then I heard a voice behind me answer. The voice was powerful yet gentle at the same time. It said, "Those are things to come before your true judgment." The voice then told me I was to be sent back because it was not my time yet. I didn't even get a choice because there is no way I would have chosen to come back here. I traveled back to my body through the same tunnel I had arrived in and entered my body with great force. When I awoke, I saw my parents in my hospital room. It was then that I learned I was the only survivor of the accident. The driver of the vehicle that hit us had been drunk, and no, it wasn't Mike. He is still alive with a wife and a son living somewhere in Indiana. The doctors had done intensive repairs to me in order to save my life. I had a ruptured spleen, and they had to correct several places where I was internally bleeding. I also had fluid building up on my brain that required them to crack my skull and relieve it. In the middle of the surgery, I suffered a heart attack and flatlined for over 4 minutes. Doctors told me that it would be a long road to recovery, but the worst was over. I was in the hospital for more than a month before returning home. Once home, I started writing down the things I had been shown. I wanted to remember it all. Over time, I thought less and less about it until I saw the Capitol building on January 6. That was the first of my visions, for lack of a better word, since I am not psychic. What follows are the rest of what I was shown and my own interpretation of them. I won't actually know how accurately I interpret them until after they come to pass. I will warn you now, none of these are good, and I do not know if any of them can be changed. I guess time will tell. I saw the world's economy collapse as China attempts to call in the debt from the US government. Next, I saw World War III being brought on by the economy's collapse. Contrary to popular belief that nukes will be fired, that is not what I saw. I saw the world's governments fighting civil wars against their own people. It was happening globally as the impoverished found their voice to scream no more and began removing the elites from power by force. I saw riots worldwide, and it seemed nowhere on Earth was immune to the violence. Even though the civilians had taken back control, they now fought against those that would step in and assume it. I saw people being rounded up and put inside barbed wire enclosures, and I saw population control being enacted as a law worldwide. I do not know why this was being done, I only know that it was. I saw starving people living in cities that looked as if they had taken the brunt of the fighting. The world had effectively turned itself into a war zone, where sides changed often, and food was currency. I want to stress that I am not a psychic, and these are my own interpretations of what I saw. I have never told anyone about my NDE before because I don't want people to think I'm crazy or that I can see the future. I can only speak on what I was shown, and even then, my interpretation may be off. Again, I do not know the dates any of this will happen. I was surprised when January 6th did. I'm sending you my experience now with the hopes that maybe your channel can help spread the word before it's too late, and we go down a path we can't return from. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey of near-death experiences. We hope these profound accounts have sparked wonder and contemplation in your hearts. If you've enjoyed these stories, don't forget to show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. Stay tuned for more enlightening content in the future. Until then, may you find peace and inspiration in the mysteries of life and beyond.